Another red day on the market. As we see here, we are down right below 6 for the day within the 24 hours. We are still below $4 trillion in terms of market cap of the entire industry. It's another red day, like we said, from the top cryptocurrencies all the way down across the board. And it's obviously led by geopolitics, as usual, still with the on and off tariff, trade wars, ongoing war in the East. And uncertainty literally is taking over, fear is taking over, nations are taking over due to the fear and greed index, which is down to 28. So we are at fear right now. So the market is uncertain. Geopolitics are in full effect, and this is causing the market to put out, and liquidations are leading the way of the fear emotions, right? So this market is literally led by sentiments and emotions right now. Like every new industry, that's a given, right? It's not liquid enough to hold its own, and there's just a handful of players that can manipulate the market because they have deep pockets, deep liquidity, enough to move the markets however they feel like. On top of all of that, like we said, just takes the same tweet from the US president talking about lining up China with 100% tariff, and the whole market is booked. Not just the crypto industry, but all other asset classes as well, be it stock market specifically. So with all of this said, this is the best time to really look back and really understand what's happening. These are days such as these are really pumping, and makes me like really literally encourages me and puts me back to focus on what this industry is all about in the first place. About flipping meme coins, trading, speculating, but we need to remind ourselves that this is a technology. This is a technology at its infancy. And when we understand that, we shift our focus from which meme coin should we flip or trade next, is the most decentralized, most adopted, the blockchain that has the most infrastructures built on it, that are addressing the most challenges we faced with currently in our industry. These are the questions we should ask ourselves. And once we shift our focus from just trading meme coins or flipping coins and speculating to understanding that this is a technology, and let's focus on long-term acquisition that is about to come. And also, once we understand that, keep in mind, easy money is yet to come. Based on what happened in the last speech of Jerome Powell, this month, by the end of the month, there should be another interest rate cut following December as well. Once the trade policies are also settled, which obviously these two powerhouses will have to somehow find a green pasture that is going to over the and doubt of the industry, of the market. So once things are paved out, we're going to experience large money printing coming in. That means even more inflation. Inflation means those with assets in their hands, assets, but even better, scarce assets are going to benefit the most, because assets don't go up just because their value is increasing. Assets go up because the dollar or other fiat currencies are losing their purchasing power. We need to understand that. So money is good for those who are holding assets and not those who are holding cash. So now let's get into today's topic. And today's topic, we're going to look at how we should shift our focus from looking at this industry as a speculative industry, but think ahead and look at it as a technology and look at ways how this technology is being used right now and by whom to new financial system that we are going to be using tomorrow and beyond. And this is what this session is about. And I want to walk us through to just highlight in the simplest form what's coming so we can anticipate what's coming. Again, none of what we say is financial advice, personal opinions, and I'm using public information just to share with you, reading through all of these articles, doing all the research, so to save you time. All right. So let's start with this article right here. How BlackRock took over the World Economic Forum. We're all very familiar with what the World Economic Forum is. And for those who are not yet familiar, let's just briefly go through this. So all this happened this year on August. So in a brief statement, the World Economic Forum announced news that marks the end of an era. So Fink, the CEO of BlackRock being the world's largest asset management company in the world, we are very familiar with BlackRock, has been appointed co-chairman of the organization. So Larry Fink is now a co-chairman of the World Economic Forum. Has convened the planet's most powerful individuals annually in the Alpine town of Davos for over 50 years, right? So obviously, the World Economic Forum has been literally hosting the most powerful individuals on the planet, right? And not since last week, but for over 50 years. So alongside him, interim leadership of the World Economic Forum is also an individual known as Ari Hoffman. And this is none other than the vice president of the Swiss pharmaceutical giant Roche. So, however, it is clear who are following this situation that the key to power now resides in the hands of the 72-year-old Larry Fink, a figure who manages assets exceeding the combined GDP, gross domestic product, of both Germany and Japan combined. Keep in mind, Japan is that largest economy, and Germany is literally the largest economy in Europe. So put those two together, and I think BlackRock is managing assets beyond that. So this is now Larry Fink is being quoted of saying this right now, and this is literally the stage for this session today. So the world is more fragmented and complex than ever. Fragmented means there is an exchange for real estate. It's a whole market on its own. There's a market or an exchange for the stock market, for the bond market, for commodities, for forex. Fragmentation, that's what it means, right? Various asset classes are in a silo of their own, and this makes things very complex, right? It makes things complex and inefficient, and so on and so forth. So this is what it means. However, the need a platform, and I want to emphasize this, not platforms. This is not a plural. This is singular, one platform. The need for a platform, one platform that brings together business, government, and civil societies has never been greater. This is Fink, right? Larry Fink said in his very first address following his appointment, the first thing he says out of his mouth is that we need one platform. And this platform is supposed to do something. What? It should bring together businesses, government, and the society. That's it. One platform bringing together the world. Business, government, and retailers. So now this is the base on which we are about to build this section today. So behind the usual phrases lies a fundamental shift in who controls, how the global economy is managed. Right? Who controls the global economy? How is the global economy managed? And this is exactly what we're about to look at. right? So far we've been just reading articles, and these are my opinions. So why not give the man an opportunity so that we can hear from himself, right? So let's hear from the man himself, and I hope that you can hear the audio as I'm playing it. So let's hear so far what we've read in articles, what we discussed so far based on our opinions. Now let's hear the man himself speak, and let's hear what his opinions are on tokenization and how important it is. And let's hear from him.
You know, when we bought BGI 20 in 2009, no one thought you could marry passive and active. Well, not only we did that, we transformed how a portfolio is being engaged. And now with passive, active, public, private, and then we overlay investment technology, and now digital, we're the firm that more and more people are going to worldwide.
What do you mean by digital?
You know, I do believe we're just at the beginning of the tokenization of all assets, from real estate to equity, across the board.
It's very loud here.
It is very loud.
But it's good. Capital's at work. Right? You like that.
I love capital at work. But there's $4.1 billion of money in sitting globally in digital wallets. A lot of that money is outside the United States. If we could tokenize ETF, you know, digitize that ETF, we could have investors who are just beginning to, you know, invest in markets through, let's say, investing in it, but now we could get them into the more traditional long-term retirement products. So we look at that as the next wave of opportunity for BlackRock over the next tens of years, as we start focusing away from, you know, traditional financial assets by repotting them in a digital manner and having that digital ecosystem. They can have their cash, and we have the largest cash money market fund that's tokenized called BULLRUN.
He ended with emphasizing that they already have the largest money market funds known as BULLRUN. We'll get to that shortly. But let's just summarize what he just said. And we heard from the man himself. He's really passionate about tokenization of assets. He talked about how his aim is to tokenize real estate, bonds, stock market, and finally, he also talked about how tokenization of ETFs, money market funds, are going to play a major role, and that's his aim. That's what he wants to do. Just as a reminder, this is the same individual we just introduced at the beginning of the session that is the CEO, founder, manager in the world that combined has more assets than the GDP of Japan and Germany combined. This is the same individual that is officially the co-founder, the co-chair of the World Economic Forum. Everyone knows that he's the one pulling the strings. And what are we getting with this? All these assets, the question we should ask ourselves right now is, all these assets that he's talking about that are getting ready to be tokenized, the whole real estate market, the bond market, the stock market, the ETFs, and we've not even started talking about the stable coins, which represent the foreign exchange markets, which are in the trillions of dollars, quadrillions of dollars. But we'll get to all of that. The question we should now ask ourselves naturally is, where will all this come from? How are these tokenized assets going to be backed or liquidity provided to these tokenized assets? And of course, this is why he mentioned BULLRUN. BULLRUN is a tokenized treasury fund, obviously launched on Ethereum. And now he came up with a whole new product. And this product is brand new, actually a day old. So he introduced it on Thursday, he introduced it yesterday, right? And this is exactly what it's supposed to do. So BlackRock and stablecoin with fund to manage reserve assets. So now Wall Street's giant BlackRock has retooled one of its money market funds to create, to cater to stablecoin issuers as a Genius Act approved reserve asset. This is a major push. And this is literally the answer to our question we asked ourselves. How are all tokenized assets going to be backed And who is going to, where's the liquidity going to come from? Here it is right here. So you create a challenge, you create a need, and then you present, like yesterday, this was presented, a solution. And it comes perfectly packaged into the Genius Act that was just conveniently passed just a few weeks ago. So we see how back to the World Economic Forum, where world's leaders come together behind closed doors in a snowy village in Switzerland known as Davos, where he is currently the co-chair, but everybody knows he's the one pulling the strings. And he's stressing on tokenization of assets. What is a BlackRock in the business? Managing other people's assets. And how are they making money, generating revenue? Simply by charging management fees, custodial fees, right? This is what they're charging fees. So meaning that the more assets they manage, the more fees they generate. So there is no surprise that he wants to tokenize the entire industry, the financial industry, but like we said, the real estate, the bond market, the stock market, the ETF tokenizations of all that. The more assets that he's managing, rather his company's managing, the more fees and the more revenue they'll be generating. So it's in the best interest. So you create a challenge, and then you present a solution, and then you create that solution to generate even more revenue for yourself. So now that we understand this in a nutshell, let's just briefly look at it, right? So BlackRock will adopt one of its money market funds to specifically serve stablecoin issuers under the recently passed Genius Act. What a coincidence, right? Perfect, just came right on. So the fund will be an approved reserve asset US stablecoin issuers can use to back their dollar-pegged tokens. Now, let's be fair. These are credited institutions. Like, for example, if an Apple, an Amazon, a Microsoft wants to issue their own stablecoins, they're not going to run to a random startup somewhere for them to be assisted with the topics of stablecoin or approved reserve assets, right? So BlackRock is using their experience, their reputation of the founder, Larry Fink, and the position of power as the largest asset manager to issue a product that all listed companies on the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ are going to run to. If Microsoft wants to issue their stablecoins, they're going to run to BlackRock for their reserve assets. And BlackRock already has a product lined up waiting for them. If Apple wants to do the same, if Walmart wants to do the same, if anyone that is listed within the stock exchanges in the US or globally, they will rather run and trust BlackRock to be the perfect partner to hold their reserves, right? And this is why this product is here. So now we answer the questions: where is the liquidity going to come from? Where is it going to be backed? And who is going to be backing it? What instrument are they going to be using to back it? And they're going to use it's an approved reserve asset for US stablecoin issuers. Now, the firm says it made the move after receiving increased demand from stablecoin issuers for liquid, compliant reserve assets. So, who do you think did they receive the increased demand from? Not from you and I, not from retailers. These are institutions, right? BlackRock is not in the business of retailers. They're in the business of institutions, companies, like we said, the likes of Amazon, the likes of Microsoft, Google, Apple, right? The Magnificent Seven that wants to issue own coins. So this is where the product is already made. This is why he's out there talking about tokenization of assets. He's literally promoting his own products, right? And this is good not just for BlackRock, but this is good for Ethereum as well, because BULLRUN, as we know, that he mentioned, is the world's largest. Of course, everything that BlackRock does is the world's largest. It's the world's largest tokenized treasury fund, We already know that. And BULLRUN is obviously also on Ethereum, right? BULLRUN is the very first and the largest. It's not the first, but it's the largest tokenized treasury fund on Ethereum. So why are we mentioning this? Why is this so important? For two things. First of all, if you look at tokenized treasuries, like you see here, tokenized treasuries, the majority of tokenized treasuries are on Ethereum already. It's already on Ethereum. But it's just in its infancy. It's in the early stages. It's in the early stages, but already over 70% of tokenized treasuries are already on Ethereum. And now we just saw how BlackRock is just put out and introduced a whole new product on Thursday, October 16th, to the world, to all the potential stablecoin issuers that were inquiring and wanting increased, they were having increased demand for that product. And now they introduced it. Now you can imagine how much further this is to accelerate. And already, they already have the largest tokenized treasury on Ethereum. So there's no surprise that all of that will be also coming right here on Ethereum as well, in addition. But something that is even more interesting that I want to share with us before we close out this session, I want us to look at this number. These are stable coins now. Stable coins are the tokenized versions of the Forex exchange, foreign exchange market, right? Forex exchange are fiat currencies, the yuan, the yen, the euro, the dollar, right? That's known as the Forex exchange. Right now, stablecoins represent that on-chain, the tokenized fiat. However, 99% of fiat is denominated in the US dollar. And many, like just today, news broke out, 3 of the largest Japanese banks are joining forces to launch their yen stablecoin, right? Backed by both US dollar and yen itself. So, and we saw how China is also in the race of launching their own stablecoins as well. Europe just is in the talk of also launching the euro, also on Ethereum. So we see there's a race starting to, however, the US is way ahead right now. Now, 2 things I want to highlight. First of all, look at this number, right below 300 billion, right? So keep that number in mind, 300 billion. And of course, as always, over 60% of all stable coins right now are already on Ethereum as well, right? And there's so much more coming, so much more. How much more? So below 300 billion right now. And let's ask ourselves, well, how large is the Forex market in the real world? In the real world. So if you just do a quick Google search, you'll realize that we're looking at 2.4 quadrillion. A number that I don't hear every day. It's a huge number. And this represents the oldest market in the world, right? So the Forex is the largest, not just the largest, it's also the most liquid market in the world. There's really nothing else to add to that. That's all we need to know. The largest and the most liquid. And how large is it? 2.4 quadrillion. So does it ring the bells now? Why is Larry Fink so eager to present this product? Because all these tokenized assets will have to be backed by something. And that something are reserve assets. And that reserve assets is our US treasuries, right? So all these stablecoin, he's not into stablecoins because he's a pro stablecoin. He's into stablecoins because he knows that with it, he's going to manage even more assets, generate even more revenue for its shareholders and for BlackRock. And so he has a solution, and he's presenting a challenge and then introducing a solution back to back. So now that we understand how large the market is, 2.0 trillion, just to refresh our memories. if we come back over here, 2.4 quadrillion is far away from the 295, far away. So this is why I want us to understand that a 10x from here is just 2 trillion. And to get from 1 trillion to 1 quadrillion, that's another 1,000x. So combined, it's 10,000x. So we're still looking at a 10,000x just to get tokenized Forex on chain. And that's just the Forex market. That's not the real estate. That's not the ETF, tokenized ETF, that stocks. That's just the Forex alone. And that predominantly is already dominating on Ethereum. And this is where liquidity is going to come from. So we answered the question, where will that liquidity come from? We have products, and these products are infrastructures built on Ethereum predominantly, both stablecoin and treasuries, like we saw. Treasuries are even higher. Treasuries are over 70%. Completely, literally, Ethereum is the home of treasury, US treasury, US bonds, tokenized version of it. And BULLRUN is leading the way, right? So now I'd like us to finalize and just tune into this video, this short video. And basically what he's saying here is that if we, like we started this session, if we can shift our focus and look at this industry, the crypto industry, as a technology, and not just as a quick flip of meme coins or just do a quick trade, but look at it for the long, for what it really is, we'll be able to benefit so much more in the mid to long term from all this rush, all this liquidity, all these tokenization of assets that are taking place concentrated on one platform. Let's remind ourselves. The world is more fragmented and complex than ever, but the need for a platform, we already know which platform he's referring to, because that's where he has a lot of tokenized treasury to be able to back all these stable coins that are coming and provide liquidity for all these tokenized assets. He's using one platform specifically to dominate the world and bring together businesses, government, and society. This is Fink. Now let's hear what else he's saying, and then we can close out with that.
Years. So I'm not here to tell anybody what if the markets are going to go up or down, but over a long horizon, and every individual who's thinking about focus on these opportunities. And I'm absolutely thrilled to see more and more young people investing in equities, not just Polycom, investing in equities. And if they can now translate that from just a trading and flipping account into a long-term investment strategy, and be an owner of those over a long horizon, over your lifetime, you're going to do really well. And another interesting point, I think I've said this before, but over a 30-year cycle, if you earned an extra 0.5%, over 30 years, 0.5%, your retirement pool of money is up 15% more. Just 0.5%. So the virtue of compounding over 30 years, there's nothing more important. And Jim, you write about this all the time. This is what it takes. It's about being in the market, being focused on over a long horizon. And the young people who are worried, they're not going to have much to worry about. America.
So we heard what the man said himself. So he's talking about if we can focus and look at this technology, this industry for what it really is as a technology, and not just as a quick flip, but look at it for what it really is. In the long run, that's where the wealth comes in. That's where the benefit comes in. And this is exactly how I would like us to close out this session. If we see a market like today that is bleeding, that is shedding, let's look beyond the now, right now. Let's look beyond the sell-off, the liquidations, the panic, the fear we see 28. It's on 28, right? Fear and greed index. And let's focus on looking at this industry for what it really is. It's a technology at its infancy stage. Which blockchain right now are infrastructures being built on? Which blockchains right now is offering solutions to the challenges we are faced with right now. Which blockchain is led by the largest asset manager in the world that is also co-chair of the World Economic Forum that has been around for over 50 years? Which blockchain is literally addressing the agenda of the World Economic Forum and Larry Fink himself to tokenize the entire world and bring it on chain on one platform, one specific one? And all roads lead to Ethereum. So when we see the markets bleeding like this, markets volatile, let's not panic sell, let's not be confused, but let's take a deep breath and look beyond and understand it's still a volatile industry. So volatile industries are expected to react like this. But in the mid to long term, the end goal is that this is technology that is being prepped to onboard multiple assets, the entire commodities market. We have the man himself say it. The whole stock market, right? Bond market, Forex, like we just saw. Everything is getting ready to be on blockchain. This is not just cheap talk. So, and it's not just BlackRock either. Let me just show one example. This is Post Finance is the government bank, Swiss government to be specific. The Swiss are always setting the stage if it comes to finance. They're setting the pace, and they combined UBS, the largest asset manager and bank, 2 in 1 in Europe. JP Morgan and BlackRock are together. UBS is alone. UBS is both a bank and an asset manager. BlackRock is not a bank. JP Morgan is not an asset manager. They need each other to be what UBS is. So UBS, Post Finance, which is government's Swiss government's bank, and Signum, which is the largest digital bank right now, all in Switzerland. They did, like we said, we made a whole session about this. They did a cross payments test on Ethereum, on the, like we know, and they also did this under the Swiss Bankers Association, so which is partnered with over 260 other Swiss. So literally the entire Swiss financial system, banking system, is running on Ethereum. And there's a successful proof of concept conducted for deposit tokens, meaning your salary ends up straight on Ethereum blockchain, where you start staking it, trading it, whatever the case may be. So the future of tomorrow and beyond is on Ethereum. This is not just the Swiss and the Swiss Bankers Association and the Swiss government saying it. It's the largest asset manager. It's the World Economic Forum, which he is, Larry Fink is the chair, co-chair of it. This is where the future is heading. So whenever we start seeing fear creeping in, always remind ourselves that this is a technology and not just an asset. It's 2 in 1, something the world has not seen before. And the more liquid Ethereum will get, the more it will become the reserve asset that is neutral, that both the Chinese, the Russians, the Americans, the Africans, the Europeans can use without the fear of being weaponized, right? It's a neutral technology that is truly decentralized and that can be used in the long term as a reserve asset that is deflationary. So this is the message for today, community. I hope the message came across. Again, none of what is said is financial advice. Let's always use these sessions as a point of reference to do our further research. And I want to thank you all for participating in today's session. For those that were not able to do experience, it's recorded. You'll be able to still participate in it and view it. For tonight, later tonight, I want to wish the queens and the kings a beautiful session today. And till we meet again, community, let's engage with the tweets today that will be coming out later on tonight. So with that said, I want to wish you all a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day and a great start into your weekend. Till we meet again, community.